I'm delighted and deeply honored to receive and welcome His Excellency Olaf Scholz, Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany, to the Republic of Kenya. Welcome, my good brother, to you and your delegation. Just over a month ago, the Chancellor warmly welcomed me to Berlin on my inaugural visit to Germany as President. Today, it is my great privilege to reciprocate by warmly welcoming His Excellency the Chancellor. Karibu, willkommen. The rich historical ties between Kenya and Germany date back to 1963, when, upon our attainment of independence, Germany became the first state to recognize our newly born nation. That marked the beginning of a deep friendship that has grown stronger every passing year. Our common values and cooperation in diverse spheres of endeavor, including energy, climate action, agriculture, health, trade and investment, and education, have marked our bilateral development. My recent visit to Berlin in March and the Chancellor's return visit today have taken place at a time when our two countries are commemorating 60 years since the establishment of diplomatic relations. The Chancellor and I have had fruitful discussions, and we have exchanged views on the strategies and pathways through which we can deepen the excellent relations between our two countries. I have taken time to brief the Chancellor of the government's progress in improving the business environment, which has made Kenya significantly more attractive to German investors. I encourage the business delegation, which is here with us, which has accompanied the Chancellor, to explore and exploit the huge untapped investment opportunities in Kenya. I also invite them to take advantage of Kenya and Nairobi's natural geostrategic advantage and use our capital as the gateway and hub for their regional and continental investments. I assure the business delegation, on behalf of the entire German business community, that Kenya will support German investors with incentives to engage successfully in investment opportunities in our country. In our meeting, the Chancellor and I have agreed on a number of issues. The Chancellor and I have discussed in detail employment opportunities for professionals, skilled and semi-skilled Kenyans in Germany, a matter of equal great interest in meeting Germany's huge labor requirements. I have urged my good brother Chancellor Scholz to review and ease immigration laws, and I am very confident that they are well underway to enable Kenyans find employment in Germany. We have therefore agreed to establish a technical team from my office and the Office of the Foreign Affairs and Labor in both countries to initiate discussions, expeditiously navigate the procedures, and formulate an appropriate framework for the export of labor to Germany. The Chancellor and I also had the opportunity to exchange views on the best modalities of increasing capacity of our TVET institutions. Through German support, we have been able to engage and enhance training opportunities offered to Kenyan youth. Germany has also offered support to expand and upgrade our centers of excellence by increasing them from 3 to 7. Similar efforts will be extended to another 60 TVET institutions. To bridge the gap in language, we agreed to introduce teaching and learning of German in basic education institutions, TVETs and other institutions of higher learning, and Germany therefore has agreed to support us in seeing how we can train more teachers to assist in the German language. In addition, we agreed on the need to align as much as possible the Kenyan and German TVET curricula. In other discussions, we further agreed to establish a twinning institutions framework for pairing our TVET colleges with selected TVET colleges in Germany, and thus facilitate the anchoring of labor migration from Kenya to Germany upon graduation. Chancellor Schulz and I have also agreed to expedite the establishment of a framework for robust exchange programs between Kenyan and German MSMEs. As you are aware, MSMEs drive both the Kenyan and German economies. What we seek is synergy to enrich learning and grow the economy from the bottom up. Germany has agreed to enhance the capacity of the Financial Inclusion Fund, the Hustler Fund, to increase affordable and easy access to credit for unbanked MSMEs at the bottom of the economic pyramid. Kenya is Germany's most important trading partner in East Africa. However, the trade balance is in favor of Germany. I have therefore called on the Chancellor to review tariff barriers and to allow Kenyan products to enter the German as well as the European market. The Chancellor has been a big champion of assisting Kenya in concluding the economic partnership agreement between East Africa and the European Union. And Mr. Chancellor, I want to tell you, Kenya is eternally grateful for your personal intervention on this matter. Our grid is 92% green, and our commitment is to achieve 100% green energy by 2030. While our current grid is 3 gigawatts, the potential is huge, and our ambition is to make a quantum leap to 100 gigawatts by 2040. Germany has been a steadfast partner in our renewable energy journey, and I express my appreciation, Mr. Chancellor, for your reaffirmed commitment towards increasing the capacity of the Olkaria geothermal station and the general investment in our renewable energy space. On the existential climate crisis, we shared our concern of the effects of climate change on livelihoods, communities, and nations. We underscored the urgent need for concerted efforts to reverse the effects of climate change. In this regard, we agreed to work together in the search for solutions and deepen our collaboration in climate-resilient development and renewable energy, including production of green hydrogen and sustainable agriculture, including production of green fertilizers. Additionally, I emphasized the need to move beyond the debate on adaptation and loss and damage, and to engage in a candid conversation on climate finance and investment, which would unlock our potential for green growth. Equally, the current international financial system is inadequate in dealing fairly with multifaceted global crises, including recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, the climate emergency, and the debt crisis in the global south. I therefore urge the Chancellor to support the reform of the international financial system. This system must recognize our potential and ensure a win-win outcome, providing access to affordable, adequate, and sustainable financing that is delivered in a timely manner. As part of our effort to establish a common African position on climate change, at COP28, Kenya will host the Africa Climate Action Summit between the dates of the 4th and 6th of September this year. I am pleased to inform you that as a friend and partner, Germany has committed to support The summit, with a financial contribution and with technical support, and Kenya has also confirmed its official joining of the Climate Club initiative, which calls for the expeditious implementation of the Paris Agreement at the invitation of Germany. Your Excellency, Kenya now formally joins the Climate Club at your invitation, and we intend to be a robust player in that space. We also had an opportunity to discuss regional peace and security and shared our concerns regarding the unfortunate events in Sudan and their spillover effects to the region. We agreed on the immediate need for unconditional cessation of hostilities and humanitarian aid access and protection of civilians. We underscored the need for the international community to support Kenya, IGAD, and the African Union in the ongoing efforts to resolve that conflict. I urged Chancellor Scholz to use his voice and Germany's influence in various platforms, including the EU, the G7, G20, and the UN, to focus global attention on the forgotten conflicts in Africa in general and especially in the Horn of Africa. On Ukraine, Kenya has consistently underscored the principles of United Nations Charter, which calls for respect for territorial integrity, sovereignty, independence, and a peaceful resolution of disputes. We have also repeatedly called for the end to the conflict and a return to the path of peaceful resolution through dialogue. To strengthen and solidify our relations between our two countries, we have agreed to explore a new phase that will be anchored on a strategic bilateral partnership framework. I wish to thank Chancellor Scholz for engaging candidly in the spirit of goodwill and commitment to enhance mutual benefits. I also take this opportunity to once again express our collective appreciation of his very warm visit. Finally, I affirm Kenya's commitment to deepen and strengthen relations with Germany and look forward to many more engagements in future. I thank you. My good brother, welcome.
Danke für den herzlichen Empfang, lieber Staatspräsident. Ich freue mich sehr, heute hier in Kenia zu sein. Erst vor wenigen Wochen haben wir uns in Berlin getroffen und darüber gesprochen, wie wir unsere Beziehung weiterentwickeln können. Und das ist nun mein erster offizieller Besuch in Kenia, und das in einem sehr besonderen Jahr. Kenia feiert 60 Jahre Unabhängigkeit. Und die Bundesrepublik Deutschland war das erste Land, das 1963 die Republik Kenia offiziell anerkannt hat. Daher feiern wir in diesem Jahr auch 60 Jahre diplomatische Beziehungen. 60 Jahre diplomatische Beziehungen, die eine gute freundschaftliche Zusammenarbeit geprägt haben und die auch die Basis sind für das, was wir uns für die Zukunft vorgenommen haben. In den 6 Jahrzehnten haben wir das bilaterale Verhältnis weiterentwickelt, haben in multilateralen Foren zusammengearbeitet, aber vor allem auch die Freundschaft zwischen unseren beiden Völkern und Gesellschaften vorangebracht und dafür Sorge getragen, dass unsere Beziehungen wirklich partnerschaftlich sind. Deshalb ist es auch richtig, dass wir jetzt unserer Partnerschaft einen mehr strategischen Rahmen geben wollen. Unsere Unternehmen sind gut vernetzt.
This is also reflected in my business delegation that is accompanying me on this visit. I am also delighted about the close cooperation in economic issues that is reflected in many topics we have discussed today that you mentioned, but that are also linked to the willingness, your willingness to work with us in the framework of the compact with Africa, because it is an important topic for us. It facilitates trade, it facilitates investment by companies. And we also are talking about the question of protecting our environment and fighting man-made climate change. We are united in our ambitions, and I would like to explicitly say that Kenya truly has made substantial progress, is a true leader compared to many other countries in the world. So I am absolutely delighted about your willingness to become a member of the International Climate Club. This is an important step, because if we are to reach our ambitious goals to stop climate change, it will only succeed if we work together and make sure simultaneously that we are doing this together, and that our different pathways that we have will be in context, will be related, and will lead to the same goal. In March, you participated in the Berlin Energy Transition Dialogue in Berlin. You have highlighted once again the important role of Kenya in the fight against climate change. Thank you very much for that. These are really topics that unite us, and it's not a coincidence that I will be visiting the geothermal power plant in Naivasha. As I was told, it's the biggest of its kind in Africa, and this illustrates once more that Kenya is a truly inspiring climate champion. More than 90% of Kenya's electricity already comes from renewable energy sources, and by 2030 you are to reach 100%. This is truly impressive, and it is also one reason why Kenya has such appeal both in Africa and beyond. Last year, we have agreed to establish a climate and development partnership in which we step up our cooperation in the areas of renewable energies, hydrogen and drought resilience in agriculture. We will also make additional funds available for that purpose. I am impressed by Kenya's preparations for hosting the Africa Climate Action Summit, a summit you will be hosting, and Germany will be supporting Kenya with our technical means and also financially. The conference highlights Kenya's leading role in climate action, and it is also an event that will lead the way up to COP28, a truly remarkable and important event. There is also potential for enhanced cooperation in the field of labor migration. Germany wants to offer more legal pathways for migration for those who wish to work in Germany, and at the same time we aim to reduce illegal migration. This is a win-win situation for all countries involved. We see a great potential for orderly, skilled labor migration from Kenya in many fields of our economy. Kenya is a solid democracy. This is why your country is a stabilizing actor in a truly troubled region. We very much appreciate what Kenya has achieved in terms of mediation efforts in the last year, and also in the current situation. It is continuing to show in many ways in its region that it is committed. This is especially true with regard to the situation in Sudan, that is, of course, very concerning to us and many others. Many Sudanese people have taken to the streets over the last years, risking their lives. They have stood up for democracy and freedom, for a transition, moving from military structures to a civilian structure. So the army and the RSF must end their military struggle for power, which happens to the detriment to the people of the country, which leads to violence and destruction. There needs to be a transmission to a civilian government, and we are grateful for Kenya's commitment in this regard. Let me highlight it once more. We will do everything we can also to support the initiatives that have been taken. And also elsewhere, Kenya is committed. I said it before, in Somalia, Ethiopia, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. These are indispensable efforts of support that we greatly appreciate and that we're happy to support. I am deeply convinced that initiatives for peace and stability in Africa, led by African states themselves, will only gain in importance. They are very relevant. And just as Kenya,
es
we
gelingt, eine multilaterale Welt
count
zu
on
entwickeln, in der
developing a
keine
multilateral
Grenzverschiebungen
world
versucht
in
werden,
which
in der
nobody
die
tries to shift
Regelungen
borders,
der
in which the
internationalen
rules
Ordnung
of international order are accepted on the basis of the United Nations Charter and the international law. This is why it is very important for us and so significant that we raise our voices when international law is breached. And the Russian aggression against Ukraine is a breach of the international peace order and a threat to peace and freedom, not only in Europe but across the globe, because it means that borders might be shifted with the use of violence, but this would lead to a world that is more insecure, so we need to insist that things have to be done differently. We want to help strengthening our cooperation, move forward with global governance, and of course it is also important for us that African states are better represented and are given a stronger voice. Germany therefore supports the efforts for permanent African seats on the United Nations Security Council, and we also support a formal seat for the African Union within the G20. Thank you very much. Thank you for welcoming me with such warmth in Nairobi, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing you soon again.
Who is leading?
Hier ist Eckhard Lose, Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung in Berlin.
Eckhard Lose, Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, Berlin.
Questions, one to the President, one to the Chancellor. Mr. President, you mentioned already the easier access from qualified people from Kenya or other countries to the German labor market. Germany is negotiating agreements that, on the one hand side, will make it easier the access to Germany. On the other hand side, once those countries where asylum seekers come from with no perspective to stay in Germany should take these asylum seekers back. Is this going to work? Und eine Frage an Sie, Herr Bundeskanzler.
And one question to the Chancellor. How big is the threat that the conflict in Sudan might spill over and lead to new migration movements towards Europe and Germany? Thank you.
Thank you very much. As a country, we believe in the rule of law. And whatever Germany is doing to put together a legal regime that allows legal immigrants, people of good standing, to access opportunities for employment in Germany is a very welcome development for us in Kenya. We do not find that there is a contradiction at all in demanding that those who are illegal, those who are not good, should be repatriated to wherever they came from. And therefore, our position, and we have discussed this with the Chancellor, is that while you open opportunities for Kenyans to work in Germany, and Chancellor was gracious enough to tell me that there is an opportunity for close to 250,000 people to work in Germany from different countries. We would value that opening, but we would also undertake that any persons from Kenya who do not measure up to good standing and are against the law in Germany, they would be returned back to Kenya. We have undertaken that position.
Schönen Dank für die Frage.
Thank you very much for your question.
das, was uns am allermeisten gegenwärtig umtreiben muss, dass es eine große Fluchtbewegung gegeben hat, vor allem in die Länder der Region. Und das ist ja etwas, das unverändert stattfindet.
In the countries of the region, and that is ongoing. And I'm very grateful to all the countries who have hosted refugees. Kenya is one of these countries. Refugees who have sought shelter and protection. This is a migration movement, as I see it, that is currently affecting mostly the neighboring countries and has not yet affected countries further away, but we should take this question very seriously. It is a serious threat to peace, not only in Sudan, but also to the whole region, and there is a risk of spillover effect. It is a serious risk, and that means that we all together need to do everything we can to bring the two military parties to ending their conflict and lead the transition to a civilian government. We need this transmission as soon as possible so the refugees can return. This is what we can say at this point.
Anna Lehmann, Taz, Berlin.
You
mentioned the climate partnership with Berlin, which was renewed and expanded during your stay in Berlin 1 month ago in order to produce green energy, green hydrogen, green fertilizer, and so on. When it comes to investments, there's large investments needed in Kenya. You mentioned this. What do you expect in this in terms of investments from the German economy, and what could German politics do to motivate enterprises to invest here in Kenya? Und zum Thema erneuerbare Energien.
Concerning renewable energies, Mr. Chancellor, a question to you concerning renewable energies. Your government adopted a law that says every new heating system installed starting in 2024 needs to be powered with 65% of renewable energy sources. We hear more and more voices from your own coalition that the obligation to change a heating system in this way should be amended. Do you think that this law should be changed? Do you think that the timeline should be shifted for a year? And the Parliamentary State Secretary at the Ministry of Economics is much under pressure. Does the Minister of Economics have to ask for his withdrawal?
Thank you very much.
Ask him to step down.
It will not be the first time for us to work with Germany on our renewable energy space or the geothermal space or the green space. We have a long history of working with German technology, German investment in our renewable energy space. In fact, our 92% of renewable energy in our grid today, there is substantial contribution by German technology and German investment. And therefore, the new level of investment required for green energy, for hydrogen energy and hydrogen technology, for fertilizer and the new scale-up will just be a second phase. We are in discussion with our German brothers and sisters to leverage on their technology, to leverage on their investment, to grow the space that will eventually take us to hydrogen technology, to ammonia, and to fertilizer manufacture using green energy. And one more thing, when you say that what would German politicians do, is again the whole conversation about climate financing and green growth. We have huge resources of green energy potential, hydro, wind, energy, geothermal in the African continent and in Kenya. A new negotiated international financing mechanism that clearly articulates and responds to the huge opportunity for green energy from Kenya and from this continent would be a very welcome conversation. And therefore, aside from having a conversation about adaptation, mitigation, loss and damage, it is our considered view that politicians should now move the conversation to the space of climate financing and climate investment, because we believe that there exists greater opportunity in that space than even in the other spaces. And that is why we are asking as a continent, and we are consolidating our position, and it is the reason I have called for the Africa Climate Summit in September, so that we can package our assets and the opportunities that exist for financing and for investment. We are going to have a big conversation, and we hope that German politicians can support in the whole space of carbon trading, carbon financing, that will inform financing going into the future. Thank you.
I just would like to underline that this is really true. We have to work together, and there is a good business environment here for investing into technologies that are important for fighting against climate change. My personal perspective is that a lot of the technological advantages we developed the last years and decades could be used all over the globe. And we should really understand that our biggest aim must be that there is a growth of wealth in many countries of the world, that they are looking for having a similar standard of living as we have it in Europe or in the north of America, for instance. But doing so, it means that we give the chance that this is happening not with using fossil resources, but with using the possibilities coming from renewable energies, for instance, and new technologies.
Let me also add that geothermal energy is also one of the issues that's playing a major role. Only recently I visited a geothermal station in Germany and officially opened it. I will also be visiting a geothermal plant here in Kenya, and in the context of hydrogen, it also plays a hugely important role. It is a great progress, and if we talk about legislation in Germany serving the goal to reach climate neutrality by 2045, it means that we need to make progress in all areas. We need to take all measures we can to make this progress as soon as possible. We have amended many laws, and I think the velocity for expanding renewable energies, offshore, onshore, wind energy, solar energy, and the expansion of our grid has been remarkable. And of course we also support investment in technologies that use less fossil fuels. Mobility is also one of the sectors that are important, and heating as well. The federal government has started a bill, a law, and after a lot of discussions, many questions regarding this reform have been answered, and I think that we have been quite successful in answering the questions that were still open. The former Social Democratic leader said no bill that enters the Bundestag will exit the Bundestag unchanged. This is part of democratic processes with all legislation, but I think that the purpose of the law will not be called into question, and that is what I also hear from the three parties of my government. And I think that the diligent discussions in the Bundestag will lead to the fact that many questions will have been answered, and there might still be one or two small questions, but I think the big questions have been addressed. And part of this is the knowledge that those who moved to their homes before 2002 had not yet had to fulfill any requirements, and they do not have to change immediately their heating system. The same is true for many other exceptions we have made. So as far as we can see, many of the questions that are raised in the public space have been answered already, but of course Parliament can also still improve legislation But this will not call into question the basic idea behind the legislative project. This is my opinion, and this is what I hear from the members of parliament as well. So I'm very confident regarding this question. And there is also a substantial project of subsidies and support systems to make sure that everybody can make their own contribution to stop man-made climate change. Regarding the question you have also raised, whether the Minister of Economics has said anything about this, and he said some wrong decisions need to be corrected. This has happened, and I think all the other issues will be dealt with according to the rules that we have.
Thank you, Your Excellencies. That now marks the end of the joint press briefing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We'll request that you remain seated as His Excellency and the Chancellor retreat. Will guide you on how to go from here. Thank you very much. His Excellency and the Chancellor will now retreat and proceed for lunch. Kindly remain seated as they retreat, and will guide you on how to go from here.